Nick Sirianni, what the fuck were you thinking? Morning, everybody. Good to be with you. Another edition of Bury Your Bookie. Although of late, because I think I'm on a losing streak. We should have known. They were carrying the chalk players out of the casinos in body bags all week long, all weekend long with the National Football League. The results, final tally, 9-5-1. Underdogs beating the point spread in 9 of the games that were played. One was a push, and that should have been the case last night. And I'm not one to sit here and cry about losses. Let's face it, playing National Football League games, regular season games, is very much like watching that roulette ball spin around, and then you have everything stacked in on 13 black, and around it goes, and the ball goes bop, 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 and lands right in there. Oh, beautiful. Look at this.
Yes, I figured it out.
How did this happen? This is great. We have Scotty M's going to join us here in a second. I was just explaining about the tough beat and Nick Sirianni last night, where it was virtually impossible for the Philadelphia Eagles to not at least have accomplished the push. The scoreboard would dictate that the Falcons had no choice, but they weren't going to kick a quick field goal, one of those stupid things where, like, with 9 seconds left, the guy goes for the field goal and then figures he's going to get the ball back and try and have an onside kick work. They had to go for the touchdown. That was their only chance. And somehow Nick Sirianni threw Vic Fangio, Scotty M. And you remember this because you were a Dolphin fan. We introduced you to Scotty M. Scott wins, all the time on games, and we're happy to have him on board as one of our handicappers. But remember before the season last year, everybody was talking about, well, what's the greatest acquisition of the offseason? It was the Dolphins getting Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
This guy's a fucking fossil. I mean, how the hell do you blow that game and allow Kirk Cousins, who'd done nothing the entire game, to march down the field in a minute and 1 second, 6 plays, and end up completing a touchdown pass that buries you to Drake London and buries everybody that had the Philadelphia Eagles and was laying 6 points in that game?
Well, that reminded me when it was like a redemption game for Kirk Cousins, because if you remember when he played for Minnesota and they had a pretty decent team, they played a Monday night game in Philly and he threw like 4 picks. They could have beat him
Yes.
he just had a terrible game. I think he was very focused for that situation, moving over to Atlanta and them coming off a tough beat, obviously, in week 1 against the Steelers. But it seems like a little redemption for him. He came down, like you said, he orchestrates the winning drive with under a few minutes left in the game to get the win. So it was almost like a big payback for him against the Eagles.
It was such ugliness for the betters, though. And
Oh, yeah.
we should have known because straight
Well,
up, never
I
mind the
was
point
sweating it
spread.
out. I had the under 45.5. So I was like, oh boy, this is getting too interesting.
Yeah, and 8-7 straight up. The underdogs were in the NFL this week. Now, if you are betting on these games, Scotty M, Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for everything football. They have every stat, every matchup, even live odds while the games are being played. You want to bet on the Falcons there when they have the ball with like 2 minutes to go in the ball game? Yeah, go ahead, send it in. You probably could have got a pretty good price. So a lot of contests available to you at Bet Online as well. So check them out and survey all of those. When the game's over, head on over to the online casino. You can get in on a game of poker, blackjack, or unwind on one of the over 150 slot games that are available. Head to the website today to get in on all the action. Bet Online. The game starts here. All right, going to get some handicapping input here from our good friend Scotty M. Scotty, before we get going, where can people find your stuff if they are intrigued by the things that you have to say and say, hey, wait a minute, I think that guy really knows his shit? Where can we find more information? Let's put that out there right away.
Absolutely. I mean, the best way for guys out there nowadays is social media, and you could check me out on TikTok. Is my best platform to check everything out. My official platform, because I've had recently some people out there trying to be copycats, putting out fake sites using my videos and photos, as crazy as it is.
Wow.
And we're just trying to squash that altogether. So don't go into the wrong site. It's SM Picks on TikTok. My handle is SM Picks, Picks. You could DM me. I have a lot of things going on right now, with private service plays. I also put out free stuff all the time. So check it all out on TikTok, SM Picks. That's my official official page.
All
for
right, very
TikTok.
good. Many things happening, and we just completed this slate in the NFL, but cranks right up again on Thursday night. Jets and the Patriots. Kind of an interesting proposition in that ball game. Jets installed as 6.5 point favorites, coming off what was an emboldening victory for them as Aaron Rodgers got his first win as a New York Jet quarterback. And I don't know, is it the most impressive thing? If Will Levis isn't making clown plays, are they victorious in that game? And the Patriots, your favorite team,
That's right.
Scotty M. I mean, you love these guys. Didn't you like travel private jet with Brady and Belichick and the boys? I mean, you were really involved with this organization. I don't think Bob Kraft had as much access as you did to some of the Patriots over the years, and well documented, but surprising everybody with a victory and two covers basically.
Well, look at this game. If you're looking at this matchup, I mean, is New England playing over their heads? Just playing well, and the Jets playing under it. At this point in time, this is an interesting matchup because you throw all that out. You always throw records out when the AFC East matches up, especially a rivalry like this. It's gone back for decades. So you got to look at this game. Are the Jets, when they put this number out, really a 6.5 point favorite, better at this point in time than the Patriots? I got to look at this game and I got to say no. I got to say the Patriots can play with the Jets at this point in time. The Jets have not proven really anything. Yeah, they got a sloppy win last week. They got their asses handed to them in week one. That game wasn't even a contest. They looked like they didn't even come to play. Patriots steady in the first 2 weeks. They could have won last week, could be 2-0 in this spot right now. And if they were 2-0, that line would not be 6.5. There's no way that game would be a field goal. So they lost in overtime. I think the dog is a very live play in this kind of matchup because they know each other. They can match up well against each other until the Jets really show that firepower and Aaron Rodgers really leading that team, to be an explosive offense. Because New England can show up on the defense. Yeah, they might have problems scoring points, but they can keep themselves in the game defensively, cause some turnovers maybe, and catch that game. I like the dog a lot in this game. I think 6.5 is way, way, way too high.
As you're making your preliminary thoughts about how to approach a betting card, and I'm looking at the college football slate this week. Gets underway Thursday with Appalachian State and South Alabama. And then you have a handful of games coming up on Friday. Syracuse has been kind of interesting. They're heavily favored, which is kind of
Who's
odd.
been really interesting, Defo?
Yeah.
This Nebraska team has been a
Yes.
very interesting team. Before the season started, I thought they were going to get off to a very good start and have a chance to have a really good squad this year. So far, I'm looking good with that. 3-0, playing against another 3-0 in the Fighting Illini, who's 3-0. But they made this line 9.5 points on this game. I just think the way Nebraska's playing, they've shut down their first three opponents. I think Illinois is going to have a very tough time of it going in there in that type of an environment. I think Nebraska continues their winning ways on that Friday night. I don't like anything Thursday, but I do like Nebraska to continue their winning. I'm not a big favorites better. I don't
Yeah.
really like betting on favorites that much, but I just think Nebraska right now, the way they're playing on offense and defense, both sides of the ball, and yes, Illinois is 3-0, but I like Nebraska to get the job done. I think they're going to win this game by a couple of touchdowns, shut them down on defense, and score some points on offense.
Well, we've seen this in NFL survivor pools, how treacherous it is trying to pick a game straight up. What I've seen a lot of lately, especially in college games, Scotty M, where you tend to have mismatches and maybe even excessively large point spreads that you're playing into, is guys that are taking sort of close to even money on a couple of heavy favorites, parlayed two-team parlays on a money line.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you a fan of that? Because you have Nebraska here, and they're laying 9 points. One of the credos of many of the handicappers I know is never lay points, never under any circumstances. But this might be a way around it. But how dangerous of a minefield is that? Trying to pick just the two games straight up and essentially doing it for even money in a parlay on the money line with a couple of favorites that may be even double digits in both cases.
Well, I know the reason why they're doing it. We both know that. Obviously, they're looking to grab that extra money and be a hero. Now, my philosophy on something like that, if you really love two games,
Yes.
I would put it in a 7 point teaser. Even though I'm getting just double my money, I'd rather have the best advantage possible on the house. Trying to win these parlays is very difficult because if you lose one of them, you're done. You lose the
Finished.
parlay. But if you, let's say you like really two games strong, and whatever the point spread may be, they may be whether you're playing it 7 points added on to taking off the favorite or adding on to the dog. I'm a big component of playing a 7 point teaser. You know, you got to lay 130 to win 100. But at the end of the day, I'm giving myself a much better chance of winning that bet than trying to just play, like you said, these parlays, these crazy things to money line them or whatever to look for the bigger odds, the bigger payout. Yeah, if you win it, you know, you're great. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win enough of them to make money. There's not a guy out there that could tell me that all he does is play parlays and win consistently year after year. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I hadn't really seen that approach until recently, where people are betting all kinds of wild stuff, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
extrapolation on concepts is, gone up exponentially. But yeah, this money line parlay thing, two-team money line parlay deal, where you have two strong favorites,
Yep.
and you're essentially coming back maybe like plus 105 or somewhere in that range of even money.
Right.
And betting substantial amounts of money on that, which I don't know. I mean,
I don't
parlay
think they
it,
play two-team parlays, Defo. I think they're playing 5 and 6 leggers like that because they're going for
that
the
could be, yeah,
big ticket.
going for the jugular. And yeah, I've seen that too. But sharper handicappers though that I know are playing these two-team money line parlays and using a game like you suggested, Nebraska, and maybe finding one other one that they feel very strongly about, and they're losing the chance to get 3-1 instead. They're getting even money,
Yeah.
and having some success doing that seems like a new trend.
I mean,
But yeah,
I
go
can
ahead.
understand the logic of it. Obviously, you're taking away all those points, and now you just even up. So yeah, I mean, I get the concept behind it, but at the end of the day, you still got to win multiple games,
Yeah.
and they got to win the game, obviously, or you lose the play. With a teaser, you can get those 7 points. I mean, you could, you could have your people agreeing with me or disagreeing with me. That's the beauty of all this. But at the end of the day, for me personally, I like grabbing points. It's almost for me like buying stock. Why would I want to buy a stock at $40 if I could buy it at $30? I don't want to be the last man standing because the last man standing, you know what happens there. So
It's holding a bag usually.
right. So I'd rather get the points in my favor. And if I really like a game, and let's say it's 7, why not? I'll take that game to 14 and find another great play and tie it in and make, just try to make it as best a situation for me to cash a ticket.
I don't know if you have a French English translation dictionary in front of you, but
Not,
you know
not
what the
today.
literal translation of the word parlay is, a French word.
Parlay?
Yeah, it's you're fucked. that's that's what a lot of people think. All right, I started out saying as I perused the card for some like preliminary thought processes about what wagers you want to make. I usually try to go down the list and ask myself why the fuck would that team be favored over anybody. And if I can find a couple of those games, and I don't know if I found them, but when you're talking about especially the Florida colleges right now and universities, University of Florida favored by 5 over Mississippi State. I don't know anything about Mississippi State, but that immediately struck me as being, someplace to do a little research on because it doesn't seem like Florida should be favored over anybody, especially on the road. Florida State's favored by 2 at home over
Can you believe?
Cal.
Can you believe Florida State? I mean, that's crazy. They just keep letting everyone down. 0-3 last week. Made them another smaller favorite, and they lose the game again. Now this week they're dropping them down to -2. I mean, they've just been a total disaster at this point in time. I don't know how you can bet a team
Somewhat
like.
inexplicably so. I mean, this DJ ukulele kid who I thought showed signs of life, almost as if he had resurrected that brilliant freshman year he had at Clemson a few
Yeah,
years back. He's in Blutarski territory, is he not? 7 years of college down the drain.
yeah. I
As
mean,
so,
came up, he was a beast. I mean, he reminded me with that quarterback a long time ago. Geez, I can't remember his name. He played for Minnesota, then he came to the Dolphins. What is the name? He was a big guy. He was like
Dante Culpepper.
There you go, Dante Cole. He reminded me like of a Dante Culpepper type of guy. He was a big, big guy, having a hard time tackling him. I don't know what happened to this guy. He just like fell off the face, big time.
Yeah, well, last year he wasn't bad. And he showed signs of life and sparked up a fairly efficient offense. And it was a big factor there. And comes to Florida State, and you thought, wow, if you had to replace Jordan Travis, that this wouldn't be a bad selection.
Yep.
Sure, they paid him a bunch of money, and a lot of boosters are going to be seeing red
Yeah.
if they're not swimming in a sea of red ink after they paid this kid to go out there and just bomb and lay an egg. He's right up there with Bryce Young in terms of bustology
Wow.
right
Can you
now.
believe that? Bryce Young gone already. He's going to be replaced after 2 weeks.
Yeah, and probably at this point, because of the cachet of draft picks and talent that went to the Chicago Bears, which they have transformed. I mean, they got the receiver DJ Moore, and he goes out and has a big year for him last year, and they gave him a boatload of money. They got a couple of starters in the draft last year, and they end up with the number one pick, Caleb Williams, all for a guy who's being replaced by Andy Dalton early in his second season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Jamarcus Russell type of territory, in terms of all-time busts at the quarterback position.
Oh God. Yeah. The Raiders are probably still licking their wounds with Jamarcus Russell. Yeah.
Mark Davis, and maybe that's why he wears that funny haircut, because he looks in the mirror every day and says, "How the fuck did I give this guy that much money?"
Well,
and take him number one overall.
He's got that 26-year-old girlfriend now, so I think
Yes.
he's smiling a little bit.
You know what's great too? She didn't know that he had money.
Yeah, exactly.
She
She
had
didn't know he
no
was
clue.
right.
Just fell in love with this, overstuffed guy with a Buster Brown haircut.
She loved his smile. She said she loved
Because
his
he
smile.
had a dimple there. It's remarkable how some of those stories work out. All right, any particular plays that you want to point to, Scotty M,
Yeah,
on today's edition of Bury Your Bookie?
yeah. I mean, I got to make up. I got to make up for my terrible performance in the NFL. I was perfect on the show in college. Won both my big plays that I gave out with South Carolina beating LSU outright, and gave out UCF, which was another one. They had to sweat it out, but they came back to win that. But the pros, I kind of shit the bed on. I like the Steelers. I think they're going to continue their winning ways. You got the Chargers coming back to the East Coast. Yeah, they're 2-0. Harbaugh's doing a great job with them. But I think they're going to run into a buzzsaw. This defense for the Steelers is tremendous, and I think they could cause Herbert to do what he likes to do every so often, which is throw those little picks and make some mistakes. I just think Justin Fields is, playing good enough. They're playing good enough to get the job done, and with that defense being amazing, I think the Steelers at home minus the 2. I'd probably just money line the game. I wouldn't even make a point spread on this game. I just call it even up. I'd money line the Steelers. I think they're going to get their third win in a row. As crazy as it sounds, the beginning of the year, if you would have told me the Steelers be 3-0 after the first 3 weeks, I would have probably looked at you a little strangely. But I like Pittsburgh in this spot at home. Chargers going back on the road. I think the Steelers will be waiting for them in this game, and I like the way the Steelers are playing right now on the defensive side. I don't think they're going to need a ton of offense to hold down the Chargers in this game. So Steelers absolutely money line. I like that play. And one other game I'm looking at, I'm just trying to pull these lines up again. Technology's beautiful. I think the Giants are going to get their teeth kicked in this week against, yeah, against Cleveland. I think Cleveland gets the job done. Came back after getting smoked by Dallas. It's amazing what one week, like we talked about on the first show, how in 1 week how teams could go from getting blown out to coming back and winning easily the next week,
Yes.
and vice versa. Like the Cowboys winning so big and then getting blown out at home. You think they'd come out strong in that game. I had the Cowboys. That's why I'm a little pissed off. But I think that Cleveland at home, they're not going to drop their first 2 games in a row. I don't think the Giants have the firepower to stay with Cleveland if they show up in this game. I bring this game down to -6. It's probably 6.5, 7 right now. It could creep up as the week goes, or it could float down. But I think 6 is the perfect number, and I like Cleveland -6 against the Giants to win this game by double digits.
All right, sounds good. Scotty M. And once again, where can people get the information if they want to follow your selections and your handicapping philosophies?
Yeah, every day, guys. Check me out. I got videos up, free picks, private service games. All you have to do is DM me on TikTok. My TikTok channel is SM Picks. Make sure you get it right, because there's guys out there copycatting me. I've been around the business a long time. Got some fake sites out there. My official site is SMPicks, Picks. We put up free stuff all the time. I'll give you that, free advice. And I also have some private VIP service games I put out on a limited basis, like one a day, on a limited amount throughout the week. And you could DM me if you're interested, if you're a more qualified player doing that, and I could reach out to you personally and tell you what's up.
All right, sounds good. Scotty M, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again next week. Thanks so much for being with us.
Defo, have a great day. Always good being with you.
All right, sounds good. Scotty M, ladies and gentlemen, coming up with the goods here, and a lot of handicapping theory on the show. A 7% chance that's all the Falcons had last night of winning that game late. That was determined by some kind of wild statistician. And you look at these things, and it's hard to say. I mean, you're getting a weird statistic now in Major League Baseball, where a guy, an outfielder, goes back for a ball and he misses it. It goes off the wall for a triple. And people start quoting, well, the catch ratio on that one was 50%. The truth is, if the guy misses it, the catch ratio on that one is 0% because he missed it. That's all there is. I understand the concept that in all probability you should have made that catch half of the time. But still, I mean, you're just a shit out of luck. And in this case, 7% chance of winning the game was posted for the Falcons in that spot. And I'm still, just amazed that anybody could be this dumb after being in the league. Vic Fangio was a defensive coordinator or higher. He was briefly in kind of a failed run, the head coach of the Denver Broncos from 2019 till I believe very early in 2021. He got canned as one of the early firings that season after demonstrating just complete ineptitude and old school mentality that wasn't working anymore as the head coach of the team. Came to the Dolphins as a defensive coordinator last year. Actually, towards the end of the year, the Dolphins defense acquitted itself well enough where statistically they ranked highly in a lot of categories, at least in the top 10. But in general, it was a disaster for the most part. And for all of the accolades and all of the hype and hyperbole that surrounded Vic Fangio's arrival here as a defensive coordinator, right out the door, and becomes a DC for the Philadelphia Eagles, with whom he had ties. He was a consultant for them prior to coming to the Dolphins the season before. So, I mean, here's a guy that very familiar with the surroundings, the organization, everything that they do philosophically. Sirianni is one of these gambling types. He goes for the 4th and goal from the 3-yard line early on, an early possession that might have caused a little bit of anxiety. We're already reaching for the morphine drip. If you were laying 6 points with the Philadelphia Eagles when they abdicated the field goal try and said, let me try another one of these really stupid plays where Jalen Hurts gets flushed out of the pocket, goes scrambling to his right, fires a ball that has no chance of being caught by anybody except the other team. And it's low and outside, and the team walks off the field there with a big, fat, round goose egg on the scoreboard after a brilliant drive orchestrated largely by unstoppable runs by Saquon Barkley, who was brilliant in the early portion of that game. But how you revert, I mean, at this point, he ends up, and you had to sweat like a series of pivotal things. Because if Barkley goes into the end zone, you're probably going to cover as an Eagles backer, laying the 6 points. If he gets stopped and they kick the field goal, you're going to get the push. And if he gets the first down, you're going to lose. Those were the 3 options. So you survive that, you get the field goal. All right, it's no great glory, but at least you don't lose your money. And then Fangio goes into a prevent defense that may as well have been, I mean, I don't know that the parting of the Red Sea was as spectacular as the openings that were there for Kirk Cousins, who was really doing nothing the whole game, and he chops them up, goes down the field, and wins the ball game and buries those Eagles backers to the tune of yet another very harsh loss. It really is. It's like that roulette ball going around and bounces right out of your number and right into one red. I was all stacked in on 13 black. I should have won thousands. And you end up with nothing. And you like it. All right. Thanks to Scotty M for joining us. Troy West will be with us tomorrow. We'll get some more insight into the college and pro football card coming up over the upcoming weekend. And we'll get into some baseball as well with Troy West tomorrow on the program. The professor joins us on Friday's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks to Scotty M for joining us here on the program. For all the people at nofilter.net and Bet Online, and our good friend Henry, of course, handling the social media, Leslie with the technology, I'm Jeff Deforrest. We'll see you next time, the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.